In this video, I'm going to take you through 10 resources that you can use to learn machine learning and more generally the field of data science using the R programming language. So we're going to dive in. I'm going to give you a few books. I'm going to give you a couple of articles and point you to a couple of new resources as well. So the best thing is they're all free and you can just download them all online. So the first thing is, let's look at an introduction to statistical learning with applications in R. So I'll put all the links in the description below. Basically, you can go to this link and then download the book PDF. This is a fantastic introduction to the tools of statistical learning, and it's all done using the R programming language. So just to give you a sense of what's in the contents of this book, let me scroll down. So it covers like the basics of statistical learning, but also topics like regression, classification, different methods of resampling, so cross-validation and so on, and so on. So this is a fantastic book, Introduction to Statistical Learning with Applications in R, and it's totally free online. So that's resource number one. The next resource is an article, so not a book, but an article called Spinning Up as a Deep Reinforcement Learning Researcher. Now, this article is on the OpenAI website, and it covers a bunch of topics, including how to get the right mathematical background and more general knowledge of different machine learning concepts, but also how to actually learn by doing projects that help you to master particular techniques in machine learning. Now, this article is targeted at people who are wanting to get into deep reinforcement learning research, which is a very specific type of machine learning. But it's more generally applicable as well if you want to learn how to do machine learning and use these techniques to model stuff in data science. So I'd highly encourage you to check out this article if you want to have a more general strategy or framework to think about learning machine learning. The next resource, so that's 2 out of 10. The next resource is a book called R for Data Science. Again, totally free online. This is the number one resource if you have no background using R and you want to learn how to use R to analyze data. So this book covers a bunch of topics from how to visualize data, and it's really good. They get you off to a start where you're visualizing data from the first chapter. So fantastic. And then once you've learned how to visualize data, how to transform data, how to basically manipulate it in different ways, how to do exploratory data analysis to understand what's in the data, and then how to do a bunch of other things as well, like how to clean up your data if it's messy, or how to join different data sets together. So this book, R for Data Science, again, totally free online, and it's a fantastic resource to learn the techniques using R for data science applications. Okay, the next resource is a book called Feature Engineering and Selection. And this is an excellent introduction to how to basically take data and get from that data a set of useful features that you can use to put into a model and generate predictions. Basically, if you take data by itself, the data might be pretty messy, it might be pretty complex, and the aim of feature engineering is to take this pretty messy data set and get out of it some useful features which you can use to generate meaningful predictions. So this is a really useful book if you want to get into modeling in particular. Feature Engineering and Selection. Okay, so we have 6 to go. The next one is a book called Advanced R, and basically this is a book which is for people who have a little bit of R knowledge, but they really want to learn more about how to use R in a detailed way, which is really important, particularly if you want to productionize your R code. So if you have an interest in productionizing your code in R, I highly recommend this book called Advanced R, which goes through a bunch of topics that really take you from the basics of R to the more complex levels of how to actually use R for production level work. The next book is a book called R Packages. Again, this is by Hedley Wickham and Jennifer Bryan. Fantastic book if you want to build an R package. And this is really important because if you're starting out in machine learning, you probably are going to have to build packages, maybe internal packages for your company, which will let you take a bunch of data and analyze it, but then also generate, but basically build models, test those models, and save the predictions. And the best way to do that is usually to build an R package, which is basically a set of functions, basically a whole like a collection of functions in R which are brought together into a single package which you can load and use for different purposes. So R Packages is also a fantastic book. Okay, so on to something a little bit different, Forecasting Principles and Practice by Rob Hyman and George Athanasopoulos. Now, this book is really good if you want to do time series forecasting in R. So time series forecasting is where we look at point data over time. So we want to see how is something increasing or decreasing, or what are the trends in this data over time. And this is, again, a fantastic resource if you want to learn how to do time series forecasting. This is actually the third edition of this book, and I'll put a link to this in the description below. The third edition goes through the most recent versions of the forecast packages, and again, really, really useful book. The next one is a book called Text Mining with R. So if you want to do any sort of work with text analysis in R, highly recommend this book, Text Mining with R. So just to give you an example of what's in this book, there's a bunch of examples they give of how to actually take some text data and use it to generate some very interesting plots, and particularly how to take that text data and do clustering, look at how things are trending over time. Really, really good book if you want to learn how to work with text data in R. Okay, so there are two books left, and these are both books where they are not finished yet, but they're being written, and when they're finished, they'll be really, really fantastic resources. So the next one is a book called Mastering Shiny, again by Hadley Wickham, who's a very prolific writer. And basically, Shiny is a tool that lets you generate web applications using R. And it basically lets you take some data and visualize it on the web using R. So fantastic resource, Mastering Shiny, if you want to get into using the Shiny toolsets. And the final book is the ggplot2 book, which is a book basically that goes through how to use the ggplot2 package to generate beautiful plots with data. So I highly recommend the ggplot2 book if you are trying to figure out how to build really great plots for your journey in data science. Okay, so I hope these resources have been helpful to you. If so, please consider subscribing and let me know in the comments below what resources you would add too.